Hi, it's me. The guy who said he'd be moving channels but keeps coming back to this one instead. Well, in this case I kinda had to. While I was actually out busy writing a script on Oblivion's original story, I got a message on Nexus Mods from someone who saw my videos and had some very interesting findings to share. And that's why, rather than make a community post addressing the findings, I'm gonna be talking about them in detail. And of course, a very big thank you to Alex Kwiatek for going through the troubles of not only messaging me, but also providing the much needed translations and files. So without further ado, let's go back to the Whispering Door. If you haven't seen the original video, you might be better off starting there. But in short, the original version of the quest had Jarl Balgruf's 3 children conspire to have him killed, and he would have been replaced by his brother Rongar, who would take on a more violent approach to his rule. And while the replacement part had many things still left over, the same could not be said for the conspiracy plot. With only some AI packages, a couple of markers, basic scripts and a single voice line remaining. Those voice files could have been the key to understanding everything, but this was not the case. While the lines still existed in the files, they either had no audio or placeholder audio recorded onto them. And due to them not having the most descriptive of names, we could only make some educated guesses as to what actually was going on. The most common version, with English voice acting, suffered this fate. But I also knew that the same was true for the Spanish version. What I could not have foreseen, however, was the fact that the Polish version would have these files still intact. And so now, with actual dialogue and translations, let's learn what the children would have been up to during this Daedric plot to murder their father. We need to fast forward a bit to where Jarl Balgruf's other son Frotar and his daughter Dagny would normally get entangled in a plot to kill Dagny's favorite horse, Carinda. While we knew that this event took place and set Dagny's involvement with Mafala in motion, we didn't really know anything else. But this dialogue will help a lot in clearing up the confusion, seemingly started with the player getting the ebony blade and returning to Nelkir.
Czy to o tym mówiła mi szepcząca pani?
The thing he's referring to here is the blade, which would play a role in the next portion of the quest. Nelkir would request the player enlist the help of his brother and sister in order to get revenge on their father.
Będzie potrzebna pomoc brata i siostry. Będzie trzeba ich jakoś przekonać. Szepcząca pani ma niezły plan. Frotar jest zdolny, ale jeszcze brak mu sił. Trzeba będzie nauczyć go stanowczości. Dagny jest frywolna i zwyczajnie potrzeba jej impulsu do działania. Moja siostra ubóstwia Carindę, najlepszego konia Balgrufa. Jeśli uwierzy, że nakazał zgładzić to zwierzę, będzie na niego wściekła. Trzymaj, weź to ostrze i daj Frotarowi. Szepcząca pani nakłoni go do działania. Ja zajmę się Dagny.
So I don't quite know how the blade really fits in here, with Nelkir both being surprised that the player retrieved it, and it seemingly coming from him after the whole explanation. The rest of the info is super cool though, with Nelkir being the one to fool Dagny and the player and Mafala being sent after Frotar. When he would encounter Frotar next, it seems that Mafala would already have started influencing him.
Kto to? Brzmi jak... Skąd tyle o mnie wie? Kto jej powiedział? Jakby była w mojej głowie. Tak, słyszę ją, tak. Czuję to. Ona mnie kocha. Chce, żebym był bezpieczny.
These lines would have played out as a scene, though I'm quite sure that it would have just looked like Frotar talking to himself from the player POV, with no Mafala lines actually meant to be heard. Then Frotar would start speaking to you.
Czego ona ode mnie chce?
This line would be a force greet from him, so you would get into dialogue with him in an instant. The player could then apparently choose from 2 options, or they would have appeared in a certain order. Either way, it seems the most logical to me that the player would then hand over the blade.
Co to jest? Co mam z tym...
And then afterwards inform him of the plan to murder Carinda and pin it on Balgruf.
Carinda? Tak, wiem. Może być zagrożeniem dla całego miasteczka. Wiem, co trzeba zrobić. Pomożesz mi? Na pewno tak. Nie okłamałaby mnie. Spotkajmy się w stajni. Rozwiążemy ten problem.
Frotar would then, with the blade, let me remind you, make his way to the stables. His dialogue here makes it very clear that he is already very much under the influence of Mafala. And seeing what he's about to do, he's probably already too far gone. So you would then meet up again at Whiterun Stables, where Carinda at this point would have been enabled. You would then speak to Frotar, saying something along the lines of, "It's time to start."
Tak, miej oczy otwarte. Ja zajmę się koniem.
But there's also another response where Frotar wouldn't start right away.
Nie teraz. Za dużo tu ludzi. Spróbuj się ich pozbyć.
I don't quite know what the requirements for these versions would have been, as Whiterun Stables isn't really the most busy of gathering points, but it's possible that the presence of Jervar, Skulvar or Lilith were problematic. However, the only logical option to have these people be not an active witness is to either wait until nightfall or kill them. I don't quite know what would have been the most logical option here, seeing as what we're about to do. Whatever the case, the inevitable would happen, and Frodor would eventually end up slaying Corinda with the Ebony Blade. At the same time, Nelkir would have informed Dagny what was going on, and they would also appear at the stables, with the three siblings having a short scene together.
Frotar! Nie wierzę. Gdy Nelkir powiedział, co robiłeś...
Widzisz, siostro?
Nelkir miał rację. Ojciec chce zniszczyć moje życie. I robił to z twoją pomocą, Frotar.
Ojciec tego chciał, Dagny, ale... Przestańcie gadać. Wiemy, co trzeba zrobić. Wszyscy to wiemy.
Keep in mind that this is how I assumed this scene would have played out, as there is no actual sequence left over. I just pieced these together in a way that seems the most logical. They also follow each other numerically, although that's not always a safe bet to make, as you'll see in a couple of minutes. At this point, both Dagny and Frodor would receive some new and quite disturbing greetings, very much in line with Nelkir's earlier dialogue.
Ojciec za to ucierpi. Wypruje mu flaki.
Ojciec jeszcze zapłaci za swoje zuchwalstwo. Myśli, że chroni mnie przed niebezpieczeństwem, ale jedynym zagrożeniem jest on sam.
And then we move to the final part of the quest. Yes, the part where the three kids commit patricide. They would all gather at Balgrove's quarters, where a scene would play out where they'd kill the man. But it's a bit messier than that. And I don't mean the killing. No, it's messy because suddenly another character gets thrown in. That being Steward Proventus Evanici. And while our main guest, Jarl Balgrove, doesn't get any new dialogue here, he does. However, even with the inclusion of this dialogue, his role is still quite unclear. The only thing I can say about his involvement is that he has a designated spot in the Jarl's quarters and is mentioned in two relevant scripts. It seems that he would have been locked up somewhere. The dialogue, though, implies something else. While I can't get any confirmation from the script or anything, the remaining dialogue files seem to form two scenes, both involving the kids and Proventus. I assume the first scene would have played out something like this.
Młody paniczu Frotarze, jak mogłeś? Problem tkwi w tym, że byliśmy w stosunku do ciebie zbyt pobłażliwi. Nauczysz się cenić uczciwą pracę. Wyślemy cię do Brumy. Twojej cioci przyda się ktoś do pomocy przy kuchni.
This scene could imply that Frodor made some kind of distraction, possibly some kind of mess, which would result in Evanici's remark of respect honest work, which may imply Frodor made a mockery of the cleaner's duties. I also kinda like the mention of an aunt in Bruma here, quite random, but a cool reference nonetheless. But now we've come to our final couple of lines, which seem to form our last scene. Noticeably not the scene of the kids actually killing Balgrove, but rather the aftermath of the kill. Evanici is also present in this scene, which might imply he would have escaped from the room he was locked in previously by this time.
Co tu się stało?
To musiało się stać, uwierz mi.
To prawda, nie udawaj, że go lubiłaś.
To jest... Ja przecież...
Drań zapłacił za swoje.
Twój tata i ja kłóciliśmy się czasem, to jasne, ale nigdy bym przecież...
And that's where our newfound dialogue ends. Yeah, pretty odd, right? But before we get into the conclusions, I want to try something different. The way you just heard these audio files, it makes it seem like there was some distraction and then Proventus came across the body of Balgrove murdered by his children, right? Well, that's how I put the files together. But if we just order them by number, we'll actually get one big scene. So let's give that one a spin, okay?
Co tu się stało? Problem tkwi w tym, że byliśmy w stosunku do ciebie zbyt pobłażliwi. Nauczysz się cenić uczciwą pracę. Wyślemy cię do Brumy. Twojej cioci przyda się ktoś do pomocy przy kuchni. To jest... Ja przecież... Twój tata i ja kłóciliśmy się czasem, to jasne, ale nigdy bym przecież...
To prawda, nie udawaj, że go lubiłaś.
To musiało się stać, uwierz mi.
Młody paniczu Frotarze, jak mogłeś?
Drań zapłacił za swoje.
If you're not gonna say it, I will. Ordered like that, it almost seems like Mephala took control of Proventus there and made him actually kill Balgrove. Maybe those last two lines should be reversed in order to make some more sense, but still. Like this, it seems Proventus goes off on a whole rant, kills Balgrove while doing it, and then he comes to his senses, surrounded by the kids who comment on what he just did. See? That's why ordering random lines is so difficult. We got a whole other scenario here just by changing some lines around. I also don't really think this would have happened, as there's literally nothing in the code suggesting Provantus would be the killer. Yes, that does indeed imply that one of the children would kill a fully grown man, but hey, this quest was dark. You shouldn't be surprised. At the end of the day, I'm not quite sure of whatever role Provantus would have played here. I do know that what these kids would have done is really shocking, especially in a game that doesn't even let you hurt kids, but I do think it's a real shame that this kind of quest was cut, as it could have been really special. Mephala is a dark being. She wouldn't care about getting kids mixed up in a murder plot, and killing a character that's as well known and arguably beloved as Balgroove, it would have almost guaranteed been something that players would still reminisce about to this day. Alas, that version was left on the cutting room floor and we got a theatrical cut, that's to say basically nothing left over of the original version at all. Oh, and I should also mention this line.
We're going to punish my father, you and I.
Maybe you recall it, but if you don't, that's the only surviving line from the English release. It also has a Polish equivalent.
Ojciec dostanie to, na co zasłużył. Razem go ukażemy.
This also goes for some of the other repurposed lines that are actually used in the final game, but I won't be showing off those here. I find it strange that neither Balgroove nor Mephala have more leftover dialogue, but I'm still happy with what we've discovered so far. Again, a big thank you, Alex. Without you, this video would have never been possible, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get to the bottom of this mystery in the near future. Who knows? Thanks for watching, and until we meet again.